Hello, I'm Sarah Agnew. I'm a creative with MediaCom and I'm the composer of the liturgies for L3, Liturgy, Learning and Purposeful Life for Lent and Easter. I wanted to introduce to you the project that we have, Stations of the Cross, for Lent. We've been hearing in conversation that we've been having with people around the place that there's a particular challenge for congregations these days in terms of how we support and encourage our children and youth and their families in their faith development. Worship participation in terms of gathering with that regular community gathering is not the same as it was in past generations. And those of us who were present in those past generations perhaps find it difficult to adapt and think of different ways to meet our families with support and encouragement as they develop faith together and teach our children and young people the stories and the practices of Christian spirituality, when we found particular practices in our own lives and for ourselves and our children to be particularly helpful. Families these days are not defaulting in the same way to every Sunday, say, is worship together. There are all sorts of ways that we're connecting with community that are also held as important. And so we're not present together in the same way regularly, which presents challenges for people who are preparing activities for children to engage with the story of the day when you don't know how many people are coming, for example. Also, we've noticed in the pandemic in particular that the way all of us are engaging in worship is changing. We're not gathering together so much. We're taking the opportunity to stay home when we're unwell and engaging with worship either in the present moment with streamed services or later through materials and recordings. So how do we meet our families' needs? One way we're hoping is with this project to create collages of Stations of the Cross. Some of us will have encountered Stations of the Cross before, but it's not necessarily a widespread practice in Protestant churches. So Catholic and Orthodox churches in particular have taken 7 to 14 moments in the story of Jesus' walk to the cross and created artworks. Icons perhaps have been written, which are images through which we're invited to see God, or other artworks. And these are usually presented in a way that is a bit of a pilgrimage through the building or through the streets of the suburb, where you go and you take time at each station and you progress through the journey that Jesus takes and hear some of the story or read some of the story, prayerfully reflect, perhaps respond with lighting a candle, or more creative ways, perhaps in alternative worship, have been to engage by writing a prayer or adding something to, say, a leaf to a tree or something like that. What we're going to do is take some of those stories and make stations ourselves. I'm proposing that you do that as collages. So you will need resources. You'll need large pieces of card and all sorts of different papers and fabrics and ribbons and stickers and glue and textures and pencils and maybe paints and whatever you can think of and whatever you have the capacity to provide for your people. Put that in front of them. You'll want some people resources too, in terms of a couple of people who have the capacity to facilitate groups of people and encourage and enable everyone to be involved and to have space to be creative. For each of the stations we're proposing, I've told a story. Our multi-generational conversation that we have every week in L3 is a story that takes the gospel reading for that week and brings it into conversation with one of the stories from that journey to the cross. And that becomes the invitation into reflecting on the story, the moment for Jesus, and creating a collage together. What you do with those collages, up to you. You might collect them all together and create a Stations of the Cross walk sometime through Holy Week, opening the church for a couple of hours, a couple of days of the week, or one evening that week, making it part of your Maundy Thursday or Good Friday service, having a vigil on the Saturday, whatever you like. They might be used in worship. You might just put them up through the weeks, through Lent, and you document your journey with the stories together. You might choose not to have the creativity through worship. You might choose not to have it only for the children and young people. You could open up the creative tables at morning tea and anyone could participate. You could invite groups during the week to create collages, perhaps ahead of time, so that when you come to the story, you present the collage already, and perhaps someone from the group can talk about what is represented in the collage and what meaning the group found in the story together. Be creative. Meet your community where you are with your capacities and with what challenge and invitation is right for this moment in time for you. And please do share your creativity. We'd love to see photos of your stations as they're unfolding and what you do with them, whether you create a stations walk or what you do. We'd love to see that creativity. So share them on the socials and be part of the conversation and encourage and engage with others as they participate in the Stations project. May the Spirit inspire and delight you all as you enter the stories and travel through Lent together in this creative way.